Hi, everyone. Luke Canellis along with Cassie Carlson. Big Bears news. The Bears dismiss Matt Eberflus as head coach. One-time passing game coordinator, then offensive coordinator, now interim head coach. Thomas Brown takes over. This all obviously comes after what happened on Thanksgiving Day, an embarrassing finish to the game against the Lions. Give me your initial thoughts, Cassie.
Well, I think this was building over time, and although the way the clock was mismanaged at the end of that Lions game was probably the nail in the coffin for Matt Eberflus, I think this started, you could argue, even in training camp. Some could argue it happened after that loss in Indianapolis this season, and then I think he really lost the locker room after the loss in Washington. That's when the players first started speaking out about the coaching staff. They were then told, do not speak out against this staff or anything that's going on inside the locker room. And they're basically told to shut up. And I thought at that moment, the players were against Matt Eberflus going forward.
I'll go back even further. I felt like it may have started actually when he started losing assistant coaches. You're talking about the actually the defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, the running backs coach, David Walker, who was fired. Then Luke Getsy is fired. So he started to show kinks in the armor of his staff long ago. And I mean, let's not forget, this is a franchise that went 3-14, franchise's worst record in more than 50 years. They lose 14 games in a row with a pretty good roster last year. They finish up 7-10, and then this year they hit the 6-game losing streak. I mean, there's a lot of reasons prior to the Hail Mary, or at least the play before the Hail Mary, that led to today's decision. But there's enough when you look at it as a whole that even though the family doesn't like to do something like this, and that's fire a head coach in the middle of the season, it was something that needed to be done.
Yeah, and I think you look back to some of the coaching decisions that were made, the fact that he's 5-19 in those close games, and what DJ Moore had said 2 weeks ago, that they have just lost in the most unreal ways, almost inexplicable ways. And a lot of that came down to late game situations where we saw Matt Eberflus could not handle it. You think about wanting to call a timeout. He should have called a timeout yesterday in Detroit. He should have called a timeout in Washington prior to the Hail Mary, or even the play before, ignoring the fact that they were able to get into a position to throw a Hail Mary. Several late game situations where Matt Eberflus just couldn't handle the moment, and that to me is where he lost the team. And I don't know how he would walk into that building on Monday, because the players have the weekend off, and address this team after not addressing what went on Thursday, and how they would have any respect for him at this point.
All right, now the Bears will have 2 months to go find themselves a permanent head coach, and it may be Thomas Brown. Let's see what happens over the final 5 games. For Cassie Carlson, I'm Luke Canellis.